Hey, yo.
Life besides the natural way it is lived is a very controversial subject. The option to end life via euthanasia because of certain circumstances arouses people to think whether or not this is the right thing to do. On the other side of euthanasia, prolonging of life is a controversial subject due to its unnatural way of life. I believe that under the most severe circumstances and situations, euthanasia and prolonging of life can be the right thing to do. Euthanasia, is it right or is it wrong? Just because we can? Should be. I believe it is right under certain circumstances. On April 15, 1975, Karen Keelan collapsed from unknown circumstances. She entered a coma in which she would have never recovered from. Her parents believed that she would not want to be kept alive under extraordinary circumstances. A full year later, the court finally agreed to stop her treatment, but was still fed through a tube in vegetative state. She died of pneumonia shortly after. This case fueled the right to die movement. Is a person that needs to be kept an eye on 24/7 and not capable of doing their own thing and processes, such as eating and using the bathroom, really wanting to push through and live? If they could state their thoughts at that moment, would they say they are living a successful life, or would they say that this is not how they would like to live and they would rather be passed on? But if a person is truly in pain and cannot carry on normal function of life, should they be kept alive just because loved ones cannot accept that they have already passed on? Have they already passed on if they're in a vegetative state? And if so, should we let them go? Should anybody have the ability to have the option to use euthanasia? I believe that no, only under certain circumstances should we be able to use it. However, if it's the worst circumstance, you're in a vegetative state, I believe euthanasia can be the right thing to do. On the complete opposite side of euthanasia, the idea of prolonging life raises attention and controversy, just as euthanasia does. I do not believe that prolonging of life is the right thing to do. As the case back in 1990, there was a woman named Terry Schiavo. It was a 15-year struggle for the prolonging of her life. She collapsed in cardiac arrest, and due to massive brain damage from lack of oxygen and brain activity, she slipped into a coma, and her diagnosis was persistent vegetative state. Now, this brought about a controversy because whether or not she should be prolonged of life or if she's already passed on. Because she could not do her own life function, the courts decided that this vegetative state and life support should no longer be needed. However, the family fought for many years, to keep her to have life support. But finally, after 7 years, her life support was terminated. Life support should be used for the people that have a possibility of living again. If you are in an accident and you're into a coma and you need life support, but your diagnosis is not persistent vegetative state, I believe that it is necessary when you have a possibility to live, that prolonging of life, and that the process of keeping a person on life support for the mere fact of keeping them alive after the fact they can no longer do things themselves should no longer be used. So on the topic euthanasia and prolonging of life, that brings about many debatable topics because it's up in the air for whether or not people have chosen the right way to use them. I believe that euthanasia should be used only when it's emergency, and that prolonging of life should be used by people that have a chance to survive.